all for an uprising. We welcome you to today's show. We ask those of you who have not subscribed to please subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue to expose the satanic Illuminati agenda. Today's show, I'm not quite sure why there's been this. I've been getting so many messages from people asking me to do and expose the WWE. And then I've been getting messages from other people saying, please tell me that the WWE is not filled with Illuminati symbolism and messages like that. I found very, very weird. But I can only assume that people are sending me these messages because as part of the awakening process, it's very, very hard to separate from things that you like. And from what I understand, wrestling fans are very passionate about pro wrestling, and I guess there's just nostalgia to it. It reminds a lot of people of their childhood, and they don't want to feel like something like that can be tainted. But unfortunately, just like other people are hearing about the Beatles and these other musicians and all of these people who are a part of it, the WWE is no different. Okay? It's no different. You don't get in a position of prominence like that without being a part of it, or you'll be shut down. You don't become a billionaire like Vince McMahon is without being a part of it. So let's go over some of the just the blatantly obvious symbols in plain sight and dissect the WWE, or the wrestling world, I should say. We'll start with John Cena, the face of the WWE. He's the face of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. You hear him get pushed all over the place. I don't know the guy. I'm not going to judge the guy, but he does like to flash the 666 symbol constantly. That's his gimmick. That's part of his wrestling persona. So he comes out and he's holding up the 666 signs, and the demographic that cheers for John Cena are all young kids, young children seeing him hold it up. So then they hold it up, and he says it stands for hustle, loyalty, respect, something like that, which makes really no sense in general. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Hustle, loyalty, respect. I guess he thinks that he's hustling people as a wrestler. Not quite sure, being that it is fixed and acting. But nonetheless, he holds up the 666 sign, conditioning children out there to see it. If you've ever heard an interview with John Cena when they asked him what it really means, he says it's an inside joke between him and one of the wrestling announcers that they came up with when they were driving in a car. That sounds like a very lukewarm answer to me. You don't become a mainstream celebrity like him and flash a symbol like that that has meaning that a lot of people know what it stands for. Okay, unless you're trying to brainwash the masses with the 666 sign, it's Antichrist sign. So he holds it up every time he comes out. Okay, you can go back to the older days in wrestling with the New World Order, the wrestling faction with Hulk Hogan. Okay, if that's not a reference to the Illuminati, I don't know what is. What do we call the New World Order? It's right there in plain sight. And what's their symbol? The New World Order symbol that they hold up to the crowd? It's the devil horns. The homage to Lucifer, paying homage to their master Lucifer. I know wrestling fans will argue that it means something else. They'll say something like it means the Clique, which is another wrestling faction behind the scenes, and that was their symbol. But in reality, I think when you piece one and one together, you have a group called the New World Order, and their symbol is the devil horns. I think it's a little obvious there that it's not a coincidence. There's just so many things. There's a tag team in the WWE. I don't know if they're still there anymore. They're called the Ascension. They come out covered in triangles and all-seeing eyes. On the screen behind them as they come out, you can see the pyramids. You can see the Eye of Horus, the Eye of Lucifer. You can see all of the symbols, the occult symbols. They wear it on their clothes. Okay, Triple H is one of the big guys there, and now son-in-law of Vince McMahon. So you can see what kind of power he has. He refers to himself as the King of Kings, which couldn't be a more blasphemous term. He has a DVD, Thy Kingdom Come, about his career, and he calls himself the King of Kings. There's only one King of Kings, and that is Jesus Christ. Sorry to break it to you, Triple H. You're a fake professional wrestler who puts body oil on himself, shaves his body thoroughly, and takes steroids. You are not a king of anything. You're not even a king of this earth. Okay? I know that it's make-believe and it's fake, but it is a little over the top referring to yourself as King of Kings, and it is extremely blasphemous, and I take personal offense to it as someone who worships our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because he is the only King of Kings. But of course, Triple H believes that he's the King of Kings. And I guess he's anointed himself because he's covered in so much oil and wearing Hanes underwear, wrestling other men, that he believes he's a king on earth as well, King of Kings. So that's another blatantly obvious sign. Then of course you had the rival wrestling company, WWE had WCW. Some of you out there listening probably don't know this stuff. I had to look into it. I've seen wrestling in the past. But Ted Turner was the owner of World Championship Wrestling. Ted Turner is a top-level elitist. He's a globalist. He's a multi-billionaire. Ted Turner stands for depopulation. We've gone over that on this channel. He is an advocate to depopulate the country and the world, I should say. So for the most part, Ted Turner wants all of us dead so that his elitist brothers and sisters can frolic around and control the world, even though they already do. They just kind of want us out of the way. So that's another person linked to the wrestling business who's associated with the Illuminati and the New World Order. Then you have the deaths that are associated with wrestling. I think there's a business that has more deaths associated to it. It seems like every year there's like 10 guys that die. You can look at Bill Warrior was a wrestler. He had come back and he had bad blood with Vince McMahon his whole life. You know, so many trials against each other. So many things went down. He came back and he gives some really bizarre speech about being immortalized and your heart beating another day. And then the next day the Ultimate Warrior dies. I'm not accusing anyone of murder, but if you know the occult, you know the Illuminati blood sacrifice is, you know, it is the core of the occult. It's the core of Satanism. It's human sacrifice. Or is that just a coincidence? I don't know. It could be. But when you look at the list of wrestlers that just continually have died, like Owen Hart, tragically falling to his death, Brian Pillman, Eddie Guerrero, Mr. Perfect, Roddy Piper, another guy who was in the WWE doghouse that just passed away. Very suspicious that all these guys just die so young. I mean, I know they put a lot of wear and tear on their body, but it's hard to look the other way when people are dying like this. And you know what the Illuminati does and how they feel about human sacrifice, especially someone like Vince McMahon, who has been in the limelight so many times with trials. You know, he was sued in the early 90s by many people claiming that the WWE was sexually forcing themselves on other men. The higher up, Pat Patterson, who was a homosexual male, was taking advantage of male wrestlers. The only way to get to the top was through sexual advancement, through having sex with these men, Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson. That was how you got your push, quote unquote. That's how you became a big star. And while wrestling fans might deny that, I understand because you have a wall, because this is something that is nostalgic to you. You don't want to believe that because wrestlers are way far up there in the list of false idols. You know, they are just as prominent to children and people as musicians are. Even though some people out there might laugh, it's true. I mean, wrestling fans look at these people as their heroes. They adore them. Wrestlers who have been retired for 20 or 30 years still travel the world making thousands of dollars just to sign autographs and go to conventions. So don't think that Vince McMahon isn't a part of this, because not only is he a multi-millionaire, but people have come out and said that the only advance in the WWE is through sexual abuse towards men, homosexual activity, which is a sign of the occult, because that's what they do in Hollywood. That's what they do with these musicians, these rappers, these actors and actresses. Okay? Pedophilia has occurred in WWE before, the ring crew members. Lots of weird things have been linked to them. Lots of sexual perversions, lots of storylines of Vince McMahon, you know, being the devil, or referring to himself as the devil. Then, of course, you have the wrestler Cain, and what that name stands for in the Bible. There's so many things that you can go into with these guys, you know, because there's been so many years of storylines and characters that have come through. I've only named a few. I'm trying to name ones that are current. But the symbol of John Cena to me is the most obvious one. There's no coincidence. You think John Cena just made up a symbol in the car, and then Vince McMahon was like, we're going to put you on stage in front of 100,000 people at WrestleMania and millions of people watching around the world. Yeah, throw up some random hand gesture that we didn't create ourselves. Everything is planned. Everything that gets put on TV is planned. Okay, nothing happens by coincidence. Even if they tell you it does, they're lying to you. Okay, that symbol is placed there. John Cena was the chosen one. We don't know what he did, what kind of ritual sacrifice or anything. I'm not accusing him of that. But I'm just saying that when you get to those certain levels, you are a part of it. And when you see them attain fame afterward, you are a part of it. And when your symbol, and what you stand for is holding up the 666 signs, and then little kids see it and imitate it and hold it up. I mean, we talk about the musicians flashing in their music videos. Well, John Cena does it every time he walks down the aisle, and the kids, or 2, 4, 6, 8 years old, standing, they stand up, and they hold that 666 sign up. And I know people out there say, oh, come on, you're being ridiculous. Well, it's like I said over and over, it's not only conditioning to the acceptance of the Antichrist by flashing his symbol and doing it, okay, it's also inadvertent worship to him. You're inadvertently worshiping a false god by flashing these symbols. That's what they want. That's why they do it. That's why they try to get you to do it. That's why they want you to hold up the peace sign. Because Lucifer loves it. The devil loves it. He loves the attention. He loves feeling the power. When people are inadvertent, whether it's inadvertent or not, whether they're flashing his signs and his symbols here. God warns us about these things. There's nothing good that comes out of these signs or symbols. So again, those are just a few things in the WWE. You can take the New World Order and just immediately pretty much close the chapter and say, well, I don't care if there's a backstory that they stole the idea from Japan or something like that. The New World Order is New World Order. And when the hand symbol is the devil horns, okay? And Ted Turner's the guy who runs the company, who is a global elitist who is preaching depopulation, who's pretty much saying, I want you all dead, okay? Because you're not worth living here, because you're not an elitist, you're not a billionaire like we are, you're not part of our bloodline. None of these things are a coincidence. Triple H calling himself King of Kings, the Ascension tag being covered in pyramids, all-seeing eyes, the eye Horus. I mean, I understand people are going to look at it how they want to look at it, because people don't want to separate from the things that they love. That's part of the awakening process. You have to take it on the chin and say, you know what? Fine, these signs are there. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to put up this wall and fight against it. Because what people tend to do is they put up a wall when you attack something they love, and then they want to fight back and defend this thing because they feel like it's a part of their life and a part of who they are. Even though Vince McMahon could care less about you, Triple H and these guys, they could care less about you in your life. But it's how your brain perceives things. You think it's yours. You think it's something that belongs to you because you've grown up with it. It's part of the separation process and the awakening process. Is realizing these things are all a part of it, and the only truth in this world is Jesus Christ, and that is the truth. And thank you for listening to today's show. I appreciate all the support I've been getting on this channel. I really do appreciate it. The Holy Spirit's been working through me. I hope I'm getting the message out there clearly. I hope this is helping people awaken and get closer to Christ. I hope this is helping you as well. Get the courage to go out there and speak the truth and point this out to other people. Thanks again for listening. God bless you.